I think
if
as,
there's
as we see
anything,
stuff happening, yeah, it's important to take note. Um, because I think you're gonna, when you take note, you start to see patterns and connections that, really what we have happening is that, these high level individuals go into areas, areas that they consider sacred ground, and um, there's a preparation time. And a lot of times as a kid, that preparation time would be set up to look like, um, a family outing, or a family event. So, it could be a vacation. And during that time, the land would be prepared for the ritual. Um, other times, you would have, um, the churches that the Jesuit Catholic churches that would plan specific events. Like they would always have these, visiting regional nuns that would all of a sudden be in an area before we were going to have a big ritual there. And really what were those, nuns doing? They usually were sisters of light. They would be doing, securing the perimeters spiritually, several days before the rituals, and would be, doing a cleansing event, setting up, secure borders, things like that, so that if people happened into that area by chance, there's less likelihood of being caught or found out. So, there's things that you might see, start watching your community. You know, who's suddenly coming in that usually isn't there? And are they coming in like a week or so before a ritual event? Um, one of their favorite things to do is to make it look like, they're a climate group. Um, that climate group will go into areas, to kind of do disaster prevention. They love that word, disaster prevention. What does that really mean? It usually means they're setting something up. And, you know, they like to see that people are trying to prepare, people are scrambling to prepare, and then they hit you with something that is kind of similar to what they were preparing you for, but there's all these unknowns, things that you weren't prepared for, things that, cause devastation and destruction, and um, cause people to have meltdowns because they're not ready for it. Um, and really, what are we looking at? It's a form of spiritual warfare. I mean, the enemy literally is coming in ahead of time, preparing the land for warfare, telling us that it's going to happen. Then the enemy strikes, knowing that, we're not prepared for it. We're not even ready for the spiritual aspect of the war, nor are we physically ready to go through the disasters, the pestilence, the famine, the plagues that they're bringing at the same time as they're doing rituals. Um, so how many of these things, are there these coincidences with? Who's a big wig that is elite, who's going into these areas before the disaster hits? Who's there after? Who's called in to be the cleanup crew? Or, who's raising funds to help come in? Usually you see Red Cross, you see FEMA, you see others, but take note, who's going into communities, who's doing stuff, who's organizing things. Um, these are all things that we need to watch for, because this is how these individuals are operating and accomplishing the evil that they are doing.